So I called the doctor. This is a true story. I called the doctor and I said, what do I do? Do I have to quit my job? He said, no, what you have to understand is what you're learning is you really don't have great skills yet. You got to develop the skills of being a parent. Okay, how do you do that? Read, learn, study. It's like any other job. You have to have experience. You're learning from your first child. You're going to be better with your second. but what he told me is, he said, for example, you don't have to quit your job. But what your son is telling you is he misses you when you go away. Oh, that was a good thing. I like that one. He said, so what you should do is, when you know what your schedule is, tell your son. Before he goes to bed, let's say at night, you say, hey, Dad's got to go away. He's going to be on the road recruiting. Explain him what recruiting is. If you can, take him on the road with you so he sees what recruiting is. So I was like, wow, yeah, I think I'm going to do that. And he said, I think I might quit with the spanking. I've never spanked either of my sons since that day. Ever. I've never raised a hand. I started reading insatiably about how to parent better. And I really felt it made a huge difference. And I did share with my son every single night before he went to bed everything I was doing in my life. And not only did he appreciate my parenting better, I think he fell in love with what I did. And he's now a basketball coach. So the things that happened during that time period in my life were wonderful, because I started to learn how to be better at something, that you do have to develop skill, and that you do have to be consistent in your parenting style. So what happened when Jay was a little bit older, he was the ball boy on that University of Virginia basketball team. Any of you remember Ralph Sampson? Mm-hmm. 7'4", All-American, fantastic player. Well, Jay was the ball boy on that team. And one day I came back from the road recruiting because we had a big game that night, Virginia versus North Carolina. And they had this guy named Michael Jordan. And we were going to play on national TV. We were #1 in the country, they were #2. Right? We were #1, they were #2, we were undefeated, they were undefeated, and Jay's the ball boy, and he's rebounding for Ralph, and I come back from the road recruiting, and I'm coming into the gym. Now, one of the things my wife and I had decided is that for our sons, we wanted them to have basically 2 goals in life, and our goal was to help them achieve these 2 things. We wanted them to be happy and successful. And we felt for them to be both, they had to get a great education. They had to be smart. They had to study. They had to do their homeworks and do great at that. So we made the rule. We didn't have a lot of rules, but the one rule was you had to do your homework first before you participated in any kind of extracurricular activities. So I come back off the road. It's big game that night, and I walk into the gym, and there's Ralph shooting and Jay rebounding for him. I asked Ralph, I was like, man, I'm ready for tonight. And then I asked Jay, how you doing, man? I can't stand it. #1 versus #2. Sell out crap. National TV. No, I can't. Calm down. Hey, did you get your homework done? No, I'm going to do it after the game. That's right. Uh-oh. Okay, parents, what do? Here are the choices. You can put him in the car and take him home so he does his homework. How many of you would do that? 2, 1 changed my mind. How many of you would let him stay and do his homework afterwards?
Knowing he wouldn't do it.
Yeah, that's right. Those of you who would have let him stay and then think he's going to do the homework afterwards, you're all a bunch of wimps. Because what happens is after the game, he's too exhausted, he's too excited, he's going to bed, and then he's not going to have his homework for the next day. So what did I do? I put him in the car, and I took him home. And he learned a very valuable lesson that night. His dad's a jerk. No, it was one of the things that I found that was so important in all the things that I read. Consistency. When you said something is important, don't compromise your principles. Let them know, if academics is that important, you can't let basketball then take its place, even for one night. Because what is he going to do the next week when we play Duke? And then the next week when we play Maryland? Right? He's going to have an excuse every single time because we're going to have set the precedent. That's not it. Parenting, or any job you do, you have to set your values. And then you have to instruct, discipline, be sure to stay on top of it to be sure everybody's following through. That's your job. And so as a parent, I was learning to be more competent. I was developing skills. I was learning to be more consistent. And it helped me with my coaching, because we applied that information right to working with our players. My staff and I, let's be sure that we're consistent in what we say is important, that our guys have to defend, they have to rebound. These are the things that lead to championships. Character and competitiveness, competence and consistency. The next building blocks are cohesiveness and commitment. And cohesiveness is about working with others, bringing the best out in others. And commitment is about making the sacrifices necessary to make the team, the organization, work at a very, very high level, to the best of its ability. So the story I would like to share with you is about one of the positions I had open on my staff. Now this is back in 2004. 2004, I had an opening on my staff, and I was looking for a certain kind of person. And I got a phone call from my friend, Pat Borges' husband, John Carey. Where's my friend? Where is she? Pat Borges. Pat Borges is a friend of a young lady that's here. That's why I bring it up. John Carey calls me, and he's a very, very close and dear friend of mine. I trust him. And he calls me and he recommends a guy named Ace. He says, Ace is fantastic, you're going to love him, he loves basketball, he's a great recruiter, he's this, he's that. I said, great. So I interviewed Ace. Ace came on our George Mason campus. Now this is 2004, 2 years before we get to the Final Four. And he comes in, and after talking to him a little while, I know he knows his basketball. Oh, he knows his hoops, he can coach and everything. But he keeps repeating this same phrase. Coach Al, I really want this job. I really want to join your staff. Why is that? He said, because I know you can help me. I know you can help me get to the ACC. I know you can help me get to the big time. I want to get to the Final Four, and I know you can help me get to a job where we can get to the Final Four. And he repeated it over and over again. See, now, after the interview was over, I called my friend John, and I said to him, hey John, I'm not going to hire Ace. He said, why not? Didn't you like him? I said, well, he knows his basketball and everything, but he kept repeating something, and quite frankly, it wasn't what I was looking for. And he said, well, what did he say? I said, he wanted me to help him so he could go someplace where he could get to the Final Four. What I'm looking for is I want to hire someone who can help George Mason get to the Final Four. So John called Ace and told him that. And Ace's response on the phone, George Mason get to the Final Four? Is he crazy? That's what he said. 2 years later, we're in the Final Four. I get an email from Ace. It starts out, Dear Coach L, I am an idiot. But it's true. I was looking for someone who dreamed like I dream, who is as optimistic and as passionate about what we do, and believe in our program and in our players, in our university, to believe that we can accomplish what others thought were impossible. That's what I was looking for in an assistant coach. That was very different than a guy that I had hired back in the mid-1990s. A guy named Stan Heath applied for a job. I was the head coach at Bowling Green State University in Ohio. And I was looking for an assistant coach. And I knew of Stan, and I brought him in for an interview. And he and his wife, Ramona, came. They had a son, Jordan, and Ramona was pregnant with their second. And I brought him in on the interview, and the whole time Stan was there, he kept saying to me, Coach, I really want to join your staff, and if you hire me, I'm going to help you win as many championships as possible. I'm going to recruit the best kind of kid, so you'll love coaching them, and I'm just going to work my tail off for you. And I loved that energy and that positiveness and how he wanted to help the program. And I said to him, and Stan, I asked this question of everybody. See, one of my responsibilities is not only to hire you, but to help you achieve your goals. If you're going to help me achieve mine, help Bowling Green achieve ours, we need to help you. What is your goal? Where do you see yourself 5 years from now? And he said, well, my next job, I want to be at Michigan State. And I'm like, wait a minute, Stan. Most guys say like the ACC, Big Ten, they don't like pick one school. That's the one job you want? He said, that's my school, that's my job. I really want to work there. I said, okay, Stan. Well, I really loved Stan and thought Ramona was perfect for our community, so I knew it was going to be a tough sell because I asked Stan, I said, Stan, how much are you making right now? He was an assistant coach at Division II, and he was making $30,000 a year, and I knew that. And he said, $30,000? I said, yeah. Well, the best I can offer you is $25,000. And Ramona's standing right there, and she looks at me, and she looks at Stan, she looks at me, she looks at Stan, and then says, oh, Stan, you can't possibly pass up a $5,000 cut in salary. And I'm looking at her, she's pregnant, and just, but you know what? He didn't. He didn't pass up that opportunity. Why? Because he wanted to elevate himself in the profession. He wanted to be a Division I assistant coach. He wanted to climb the ladder of success, and he understood that that was going to take sacrifices. He was going to have to make a commitment to work with people. He understood about cohesiveness. He understood about commitment, and he was willing to do that. Now, to advance that story and move on, Stan came to work for me, and a few years later, Tom Izzo, the head coach of Michigan State, lost one of his assistants. So Stan comes walking into my office. Coach Al, did you hear that? There's an opening at Michigan State. Can you help me? Well, Tom is a friend of mine. In fact, he was at George Mason today, and I was visiting with him and reminding him of this story. So Stan comes in and says, can you call Tom? So I called Tom. I said, hey, Tom, I have a terrific assistant here. His name is Stan Heath, and he'd be very interested in applying for that position on your staff. And Tom says to me, well, Jim, tell him thanks, but no thanks. I have two guys in mind. I'm going to interview those two guys and then pick one of them, and that's going to be it. And I said, well, would you do me a favor? Would you add his name, just 3 guys, to your list? And he said, no. I said, oh, okay. I hung up the phone, and Stan came in and said, how did it go? I said, you can't get that job. And he said, what? And I said, well, unless I'm going to make a suggestion to you, Stan, and I don't know if you'll do it or not, but Tom has kind of his mind made up about one of 2 guys, but I think you need to recruit him. And this is what I suggest you do. Go down to the local men's store and ask him for a mannequin. Then go to the local florist and get one of those long boxes that they put red roses in, you know, long-stem red roses. Break off the right arm, put it in the box, FedEx it up to him, a little note that says, I'd give my right arm to be on your staff, and I'll help you win a national championship. He did it! I get a phone call the next day. It's Tom Izzo. Tell Stan I'll interview him. A month later, he had the job. He was hired by, yes, let's clap for Stan. The story gets better. 5 years at Michigan State, they win the national championship. He gets hired by Kent State University, and he's a head coach. At the end of that season, I get a phone call from him. Coach L, hey Stan, where are you? I'm about 40,000 feet up. You're in a plane? You can't be on the phone. No, it's okay. So where are you? He said, I'm in the Arkansas jet. They just offered me the head coaching job at Arkansas. Now my curiosity, I feel bad to say this, but I had to, what kind of contract they offer you? He said, 5 years, $1 million a year. What? I hope you took it. And he did. He became the head coach of Arkansas. Now, the great part about that story is Ace didn't understand what I was looking for. He knew what he was looking for. Stan completely understood. This is about teamwork. This is about working together. Cohesiveness and commitment. Working together for the organization to make it the best that it can be. And you got to make sacrifices, financial sacrifices, the kind of getting in early and staying late and doing all the things that's necessary to put your organization where it wants to be. Stan was willing to do that at Bowling Green, then at Michigan State, at Kent State, Arkansas. So he's had an incredible run of success because of that commitment. The last of the building blocks is communication and confidence. Now, communication is about delivering messages. It's about listening to others as they try to deliver messages to you.